Welcome to War Bios, the podcast that delves into the lives of history's most fascinating military figures. I'm your host, General Biography, and today we're going to explore the extraordinary life of William Wallace, the Scottish warrior who led a rebellion against English rule in the late 13th century. Wallace's bravery, strategic genius, and unwavering commitment to his people have made him a legendary figure, inspiring countless stories, songs, and artworks over the centuries. Born around 1270 in Elderslie, Renfrewshire, Scotland, William Wallace was the youngest son of Malcolm Wallace, a minor landowner, and his wife Margaret. The family's modest estate, nestled in the rolling hills of western Scotland, was surrounded by the rugged landscape that would later become the backdrop for Wallace's military campaigns. As a child, Wallace would have been familiar with the sounds of clashing steel, the smell of smoke from burning villages, and the sight of armored knights riding through the countryside. Wallace's early life was marked by the tumultuous politics of medieval Scotland. In 1296, when Wallace was around 26 years old, King Edward I of England, also known as Longshanks, invaded Scotland, deposing the Scottish king, John Balliol, and claiming the country as an English province. This event would have a profound impact on Wallace's future, shaping his sense of national identity and fueling his desire for independence. Growing up in this tumultuous environment, Wallace developed strong relationships with his family and community. His father, Malcolm, was a respected member of Scottish society, known for his military prowess and loyalty to the Scottish crown. Malcolm had fought alongside the Scottish king, Alexander III, at the Battle of Largs in 1263, where the Scots repelled a Norwegian invasion. This exposure to military life and the defense of Scotland would have had a significant influence on Wallace's future endeavors. Wallace's mother, Margaret, was known for her piety and kindness, and she played an important role in shaping her son's values and character. The Wallaces were part of a close-knit network of local families who shared a deep sense of loyalty and mutual support. This strong family bond and community connection would serve as a foundation for Wallace's future leadership and his ability to rally the Scottish people behind him. As a young man, Wallace received a traditional medieval education, which included training in arms, horsemanship, and literature. He was likely educated at the local parish school or by a private tutor, where he would have studied Latin, French, and other subjects. This education would have provided Wallace with a solid foundation in language, literature, and critical thinking, skills that would serve him well in his future endeavors. The historical context of Wallace's early years was marked by significant events and figures that shaped his character and future path. The death of Alexander III in 1286 had led to a succession crisis in Scotland, with various claimants vying for the throne. This period of instability created an environment in which English influence and control over Scotland grew, ultimately leading to Edward I's invasion in 1296. In the years leading up to this invasion, Wallace would have been exposed to the growing tensions between Scotland and England. He would have heard stories of Scottish heroes like William Wallace's own ancestor, Malcolm Wallace, who had fought against the English at the Battle of Dunbar in 1296. These stories would have instilled in him a sense of national pride and a desire to defend his country against foreign invaders. These influences would shape his future decisions, inform his military strategy, and ultimately define his legacy as a hero of Scottish independence. In 1297, Wallace, now around 27 years old, emerged as a leader of the Scottish resistance against English occupation. Alongside Andrew Moray, a fellow Scottish nobleman, Wallace led a successful campaign against the English forces at the Battle of Stirling Bridge. This decisive victory marked a significant turning point in the war for Scottish independence and cemented Wallace's reputation as a skilled military strategist. The Battle of Stirling Bridge was a masterclass in tactics, with Wallace and Moray employing a clever combination of guerrilla warfare and traditional battlefield maneuvers to outmaneuver their English opponents. The Scots, largely composed of infantry and archers, lured the English cavalry into a trap, using the terrain to their advantage. As the English knights charged across the narrow bridge spanning the River Forth, the Scots attacked from the flanks, cutting off their escape routes and inflicting heavy casualties. The victory at Stirling Bridge sent shockwaves throughout Scotland and England, galvanizing support for the Scottish resistance. Wallace's military prowess and charisma inspired many Scots to join the fight against English rule, and he became a unifying figure for the Scottish people. As his reputation grew, so did his legend, with stories of his bravery and cunning spreading far and wide. In the aftermath of Stirling Bridge, Wallace was appointed Guardian of Scotland, a position that granted him authority over the country's military forces. Alongside Moray, he led a series of successful campaigns against English strongholds in Scotland, including the capture of Edinburgh Castle. These victories further solidified Wallace's position as a national leader and paved the way for a larger confrontation with the English army. One of the most significant battles fought during this period was the Battle of Falkirk, which took place in 1298. The English army, led by King Edward I himself, marched into Scotland intent on crushing the rebellion once and for all. Wallace, aware of the English army's superior numbers and firepower, employed a defensive strategy, using the terrain to his advantage. Although the Scots ultimately suffered defeat at Falkirk, Wallace's tactics had inflicted significant casualties on the English, and he managed to escape with his life. The Battle of Falkirk marked a turning point in Wallace's military career, as he began to face increasing pressure from the English army and internal conflicts within Scotland. Despite these challenges, Wallace remained committed to the cause of Scottish independence, using his charisma and strategic genius to maintain support among the Scottish people. Through his bravery, cunning, and unwavering dedication to the cause of Scottish independence, Wallace became an icon of resistance against oppression, a symbol of hope for those fighting against overwhelming odds. Following his defeat at Falkirk, Wallace went into hiding, using his knowledge of the Scottish countryside to evade capture by the English army. Despite being a fugitive, Wallace continued to inspire and lead the Scottish resistance, using his charisma and strategic genius to maintain support among the Scottish people. In 1303, Wallace emerged from hiding and began to plan a new campaign against the English. However, his efforts were ultimately thwarted when he was betrayed by Sir John de Menteith, a Scottish nobleman who had defected to the English side. On August 5, 1305, Wallace was captured by de Menteith's men at Robroyston, near Glasgow. The circumstances surrounding his betrayal are still debated among historians, but it is believed that de Menteith was motivated by a desire for power and wealth. After his capture, Wallace was taken to London, where he was put on trial for treason against the English crown. The trial was a sham, with the outcome predetermined by King Edward I himself. On August 23, 1305, Wallace was found guilty of treason and sentenced to death. He was hanged, drawn, and quartered, a gruesome form of execution in which the victim is hanged, disemboweled while still alive, and then beheaded and quartered. Wallace's execution sent shockwaves throughout Scotland, galvanizing support for the Scottish resistance against English rule. His legacy as a hero of Scottish independence has endured for centuries, inspiring countless works of art, literature, and film. As the Scottish historian and poet Blind Harry wrote in his epic poem, The Acts and Deeds of the Most Valiant and Renowned William Wallace, he was a man of great courage and of noble heart, who fought for his country's freedom and died for its sake. In the years following Wallace's execution, Scotland continued to struggle against English rule. However, his legacy lived on, inspiring future generations of Scots to fight for their independence. In 1320, the Declaration of Arbroath, a document asserting Scotland's sovereignty, was signed by Scottish nobles, citing Wallace as an inspiration for their resistance against English rule. Today, William Wallace is remembered as a national hero in Scotland, with numerous monuments and memorials dedicated to his memory. His legacy extends far beyond Scotland, however, inspiring people around the world to fight against oppression and tyranny. As the American historian Bernard Bailyn wrote, Wallace's struggle for Scottish independence was not just a local affair, but a universal one, a struggle for the rights of all men to be free from tyranny and oppression. His story continues to inspire us today, reminding us that even in the face of overwhelming odds, one person can make a difference. That's all for today's War Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I'm General Biography, reminding you to keep marching toward victory.